Hello and welcome to Hoffmann-Photography. My name is Rainer, and in this video we'll be talking about the Levels tool in Photoshop and other image editing programs. The Levels tool is one of those image editing tools that have been around for decades. But that doesn't mean it is obsolete. I will show you the Levels tool in an ancient version of Photoshop that you can't buy anymore. But still, I will, just to be on the safe side, I will mark this video as advertisement because, you know, German law is sometimes strange. This is a low contrast image and it looks a bit dull and the colors are very muted, so it doesn't look really good. Most images actually look best when they use the full range of tonal values from dark to bright, from black to white. Most images, mind you, not all. But this one would definitely look much better when it would use the full tonal range between black and white. This is where the Levels tool comes in. You find the Levels tool under Image, Adjustments, and then the second entry from the top, Levels. Here's our Levels tool, and let's zoom in a bit so we have a closer look at the tool. Now what you can immediately see is that the very dark tonal values are missing and the very bright tonal values are missing. That's why this image looks so dull. It's low contrast. Now, the Levels tool has three sliders. There is the left one, the black one sets the black point, the white one sets the white point, and the slider in the middle determines the brightness of the midtones. Now, let's start with the black slider, and I just move it to the right to where the tonal values begin. That's about here. And now what's happening is that this tonal value, 33, that's a very dark gray. This tonal value is now set to black. And I do the same with a white point slider, only I move it to the left. And I move it to where the tonal values start. That's about 198 here. Now, what happens here is, you guessed it, this tonal value, 198, that's, well, fairly bright gray. This tonal value is set to white. That's why it's called the white point slider, of course. And let's zoom out just to see what we have done to our image, and I'll move the tool a bit out of the way so we can have a better look at the image, and I'll deactivate the preview. That's what it looked before, and that's what it looks now. Much better, in my personal opinion. Now there's still the midpoint slider, and this determines how bright or how dark the image will look. If I want to have a brighter image, I have to move this midpoint slider to the left. That's perhaps somewhat confusing, but you'll get used to it. I'll move it to the left, and now the image gets brighter, and move it to the right and the image gets darker. Now, no need to do that in this case. Was quite okay with the setting, with this setting here. Okay, now don't overdo it. If you move the black point slider even further to the right, then you get large areas that are just black, and you lose all the detail in those areas. Here's a little trick. If you press the Alt button, then and click on the black point slider. Now you can see all these nice colorful pixels, and all those are now way too dark. Now, large areas where we don't have any detail, but are just simply black. And same is true, of course, for the white point slider. If I move it too far to the right, then large areas will burn out and will be just plain white without any detail. And again, pressing the Alt key and clicking on the white slider shows us where all these areas are that are now completely burned out. So don't overdo it. Generally, just go as far as where the tonal values start. Okay, I click OK. And now if I again go to the Levels tool, Image, Adjustments, Levels, let's zoom in a bit. And now you can see that the tonal values have been redistributed, and now they span the complete range from black to white. So that's what we normally want. But what you can see also here is that there are gaps. And that's because our original image didn't have the full tonal range. It didn't have 256 tonal values, but it had much less than that, maybe let's say 170 tonal values or so. And these 170 have been stretched out over the full range, so necessarily there are some gaps now. Okay, let's zoom out. And I cancel this. Now, I said in the beginning that most images look best when they use the full range of tonal values from black to white. But that's not true for all images, so let's have a look at the next image, this one. Now this is heavy fog, and those scenes typically don't have the full range of tonal values. Now if you use the Levels tool again, and let's do the same that we did before. Let's move the white point slider to the left to the point where the tonal values begin. And let's do the same with the black point slider. Move it over here to the right. And now it doesn't look like a foggy scene anymore. That's completely overdone. So I cancel that. And that's much more like it was in reality. Now, both images that we looked at are low contrast images. But unfortunately, quite often, images have a very high contrast. And in this case, you can see the sky here is blown out, it's just pure white. And there are large areas that are way too dark, that don't show any detail. Now, if you look at the Levels tool again, it's quite apparent what's going on here. Let's zoom in again. Now, on the left-hand side of the histogram, we have a large spike, and that means large areas that are without detail, that are just simply black. And the same problem on the right side, a large spike over here where the white pixels are, and that's of course all the pixels here in the sky that are just white and just burned out, just no detail in the highlights. So that's a problem. And obviously moving the sliders to the right, moving the black point slider to the right and moving the white point slider to the left just makes it worse. So we can't do much here. So we can't move the white point slider more to the right. That would be nice, but impossible. And same with the black point slider. We can't move it more to the left. No way to do that. What we could do is we could use the output levels here, and we could move this white point slider to the left and thereby making the white pixels gray. No, but that doesn't really help either. And I just overdo it a bit. And now these areas are gray, but they still don't show any detail. So it doesn't really help. Well, oops. Okay, the lesson to be learned is high contrast images can be a problem. And if you haven't captured the detail in the dark areas of the image and or in the bright area of the image, then there's not much that you can do. I hope that helped, and as always, thanks for watching.